All right, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, follow us on YouTube or make sure you subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts, and also share with a friend. Last thing, what they gotta do?
Last thing?
Yeah. Ooh, let's see. Here's your hint. Here's your hint. 5.
Give us a 5-star.
There you go. 5-star reviews, people. He got it. Just because he got it, you got to leave a 5-star review now. So wherever you listen to podcasts, swipe down, hit those 5 stars. And if you feel like typing in something about how you love the show, please do it. But again, how many stars are we looking for?
5.
5.
A handful.
Just all of them. All the stars. All right. So, you know what I like to do? I like to do my little wellness check. How was your week, Dad?
My week is good. I'm still here, still alive, I'm healthy.
No highlights?
No, not really no highlights.
Bro, you gotta step your game up. You gotta.
My highlight is just making it through and being here. That's the highlight.
All right.
Healthy.
All right, cool.
So what about your highlights?
Things are going pretty good at work. I've been busy, but I'm pretty excited about it. In my pen league, we're still undefeated. Finally found some joy. You know, when I started off in that league, I was a little unhappy. Team chemistry was off. You know, I thought about walking away from it, but now, you know, I'm fully bought in. You know, and things are going well, really bonding with some guys, so that's cool. And then the third thing is we got a presence down in South Carolina. You just looking at me. I thought you was going to say something.
Oh, I would let you.
Like, what you mean?
I would let you go. I was gonna let you finish it.
Ask me what I mean.
What do you mean?
I'm glad you asked. So, little sister who's turning 10 pretty soon. I'm getting old. She was like, "Yeah, Kevin, I was telling my friends about the YouTube channel. Like I was telling them they gotta subscribe too." So she down there promoting. She promoting.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she out there. She might be out working you, dog.
Nah, she ain't out working me.
Like, man, shout out to Kiki though, holding this down. But yeah, and then I think the other thing was another highlight from my week was just I finally got to watch a Sixers game and I got excited. It's been frustrating lately. My man JoJo went off this week while Ben was out, and the Sixers got a win, a great win in overtime, and my man hit clutch free throws. He put up like 36 and. I'm gonna get the numbers. He put up an amazing stat line, and then Joel being Joel, after the game said he's the best player in the world. I don't know about all that yet, but he put up 39 and 16. How many blocks he get? 2 blocks.
That was against the Nets, right?
Yes, that was against the Brooklyn Nets. Joel said he's the greatest player in the world.
Well, I think he need to play more consistently.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think it was a prime example of how strength needs to be in consistency, not numbers. You can put up great numbers on any given night, but can you do that? Can you repeat that performance? And case in point, he'll have to look to reproduce it. Tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks, the rival, the 2 front runners in the Eastern Conference. Despite records, they're the 2 teams that people, primarily picked. So,
in the preseason polls, right?
In preseason polls, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the Sixers, during in-season polls, they kind of, some people still picked them, but things are starting to shape up. They made some adjustments, so looking forward to see how this thing plays out.
But excuse me for cutting you off, but one of the biggest things, they got to win on the road. Mm-hmm. They win at home, and then the season gets shorter now, and this is where he gotta produce night in and night out. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I got another little fun story from. This actually happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah, this was before I went to New York. So I'm on my way into work. Right, I had to drive in this day, and I'm driving down Broad, about to go into the parking garage. You know how people jaywalk and they're almost about to walk into your car? Mm-hmm. So I'm driving. I'm like, yo, who just about to walk into my car? I didn't even see dude, right? I look, and it's Matisse Thybulle. the rookie for the Sixers.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, that's
He almost walked into your car?
yeah. I was like, yo, that's Matisse. So all right. Some people that know me, they know like I enjoy meeting NBA players, like especially players I like. So I whipped into my garage, right? But during it, I was looking in the rear view. I'm like, yo, where he going? Like he just out here chilling, I was like, all right, I think he went to a little coffee shop. So parked the car in the garage, 4th floor, hustle down. I walk opposite direction to work. I go down to the coffee shop, right? And I see him sitting there, so I walk in there. I'm like trying to play it cool, right? So I'm up there trying to order. I look at the menu. They got the thing handwritten in chalk.
Bruh.
I'm just like, oh, I can't even read this right now. I can't even focus. Right? So now I'm looking, and it's one of those like trendy hipster places, right? Where like everything got the special names, and it's like, everything bagels and all that. And me, I'm a plain guy, right? I'm like, yo, can I just get a plain bagel, right? Meanwhile, Matisse sitting over there. Then he goes, gets his food, goes over there. We didn't make like direct eye contact, so I didn't engage him. But I was like, man, I was just trying to get that little selfie. Like when I bet Aaron McKee that time, I was just trying to say what's up. Let them know they had a great game. It was coming off that Clippers win. But yeah, that's my embarrassing moment for.
So you
for
didn't
the
say
show.
nothing to him?
Nah, cause I didn't want to. I try to give those guys, space, cause I don't know, how many people swarm them. So whenever I do approach them, it's usually like we at least make eye contact, and I can say what's up or give the head nod or something like that. But first thing in the morning, he was just trying to, probably get him a little breakfast. So I chilled out. I chilled, gave him a break. I might see him again. I see, like working downtown, I see athletes all the time. It feels like not frequently, but I see him quite a bit. So I feel like I'll see him again.
Well, when it comes stay down, he don't stay down there.
He lives somewhere down there.
Yeah.
I got a feeling I kind of got an idea of the area, just knowing like the buildings that are around there. But yeah, I might bump into him again. All right, man. So couple things I want to talk about. This first one has kind of been on my mind for a while, and it has to do with something that I see a lot in our community. So whenever the homies go to jail or someone goes to jail, a lot of people post like free insert name here, right? Like you see it posted on their social media. They like to tweet it out, and I get it. Like, I know what it's like to have someone you love and care about in prison, right? It sucks. You want them home. You love that person dearly, so I get it. But, I think before you kind of post that free so-and-so, like, really ask yourself why you're posting it, right? It's like, because one thing that, I find just in life in general, but for this topic I'm focusing on our community, is there's always like a lack of accountability. Like I see it a lot when I'm coaching. Like a lot of kids come in, they just, that skill or quality just isn't there because a lot of times people haven't held people accountable. So if you haven't been exposed to it, it's new to you, it's going to be growth, right? So I think a lot of times we don't think about the accountability piece when we post, free so-and-so, right? And so, my big thing is, ask yourself why. And because we have an accountability problem, I think that, ultimately, when your loved one does get out, you don't want to see him go back, right? Like, I'm always on you. Like, yo, what you doing? I don't got to worry about this, right? And it's because, one, I'm going to hold you accountable. Two, you got to hold yourself accountable. And, one thing that I thought that I was thinking about is, instead of always posting, free so-and-so, like, fine, go ahead and do it. But, really, when you talk to that person, tell them how you're hurting that they're in there. Tell them how you don't want them to end back up in there. Because hopefully, that promotes change in their life. Ultimately, you think, you at least want to hope that by them being in there, they'll have some type of revelation to where they make the decision like, hey, I don't want to come back here, right? I think that's ultimately the goal, but that, reality is that doesn't happen for a lot of people. And I mean, there is a lot wrong with the system. It's almost like it's designed for a lot of people to end back up in prison. But I just think that, we can at least try to do a little bit more to kind of change the culture around that.
Like when you say that, when you talk about accountability, it's like the big thing. To me, that, and it is to that person in there to really want to change his mind. Like for me, I was free for so many years of my life. I had freedom. I can go do what I want to do it. And like going to jail, like I really didn't like it. I wasn't free no more. I had to do some things that everybody wanted. And another thing, when you say the system is not there for real for you to fail, people use that. They got system in there to help you. It's what you do in there. Like that's what I found out from my firsthand experience. Like you got some people that come back out of jail and look what they do. Look where they grow to. So how come the system didn't fail for them, or didn't fail them? Because like you got people that do it. They give. Like I'm gonna tell you. You know what? Sometimes they used to give classes or give things for people to do. Now they pay money, but people don't want to do it. Like they had to even force this for people to make these classes look good so they could keep getting the money. Now it's always going to be about money, but it is there to help you too.
But sometimes like when you get out of, like depending, like let's say you're locked up for a felony, in some places where you apply to jobs, you still got to check off that box, and that's like something that kind of has to go away. Because
but they doing away with that now.
Yeah, they are.
They doing away with that now.
And I'm glad, because a lot of times that makes it hard for people who aren't trying to go back down the road that led them to prison, back down it because they feel like there's no other option.
I mean, like...
So, like, when I say system, I'm talking about things like that, not necessarily, institutions that have programs in place. And I think something else is that not every, correction facility has programs that are being run well, too. But I get what you're saying. Like, you got to take advantage of it when the opportunity is there.
Like you said, like, I've seen it then, but you know what? The first thing that, like you say, accountability. See, the first thing that people come out and people say that it ain't there. It ain't there like that. Like, I remember, like, they had CDL classes. They had business classes. You can sign up for all these, and some people take advantage of it, some people don't. Because what I learned, like, some people want to come back out and do the same thing that they was doing.
Yeah, it's like the culture, right? And it's like when you're going back to the same group that you came, the same, associations you went in with, then you kind of putting yourself in that bad position. And, as I was thinking about this, I'm like, would you, let's say, in theory, right? Here's a hypothetical. Let's say to free your boy, right? You could go sign off, right? You just go put your name down, and they will release him. But the catch is, if he commits another offense where he has to go back, you got to go back with him, or you got to go back in his place. Like, how many people would be confident in taking that deal, right? Like signing, like you basically co-signing on a loan, right? How many people could you pitch? Like, where's their credit at? In terms of this, like, how many people do you think would be comfortable saying, "Yeah, I'll sign off to free my man. He's not going back"? I would argue and say that percentage is very low.
I would agree with you. I would definitely agree with you. Like how do you would you want to sign, co-sign somebody to get a job that ain't gonna do the work?
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not doing it.
I agree. But you know what? One thing I want to say, since you're on this, like, one thing is I used to agree with. You know what? Like, when I was locked up, they used to give, like, drugs. They supposed to be
addictive.
Not non-addictive, not prescription, not real prescription drugs, but it give you the same effect. And I used to say, how can you give people this if they're a drug addict? And you just keeping them, and what? It was funny because the guards used to say, "Come get your drugs, right?" And like I'm saying to myself, now you helping this person, so when he go back out on the street, you keeping them high while in jail, and believe me, they stay high when they in jail off of it. And like then now when they go back in the street, what they want? They gonna still want the same feeling. So at that time, I do say it was bad. And I used to say that.
Even like the whole "come get your drugs" thing, that's almost like mocking, like and like you're not correcting the mindset. And if a person's drug use was a factor in them ending up there, then you would think they would the goal would be to try to get them off of that, to get them clean.
Because you figure a lot of people that might be on drugs may go to jail. And I mean, I see people go to jail for petty crimes. Petty crimes. But now, them petty crimes was for them to get high. So now, you still keeping them high in a sense. Now, when they get out, because the only thing I do is tell them, I don't know. Most of them is psychological drugs. So, people know how to get them, how to get it, And like I be saying, and this is the same thing that they're going to look for when they get out. And that's, and that's where I think the system, because they should do more. I'm not saying that some people don't need them, but you should really make sure that these people need them.
Yeah.
Because they don't really care too much. That's a business for them.
Yeah, and that's sad. Back to some other things I was thinking about was, I think that when you express how you feel, and it's not always easy, especially if it's kind of new for you, if you've never done it. But it's almost like if you have a loved one in prison, tell them, like I was saying earlier, tell them how you feel that they're in there. Explain to them like, hey, I really don't want to see you end back up in here, and become a support for that person, help them change, encourage them. And let's say a lot of times, you might be living the same life or a similar life, right, in the same path. Use that as an opportunity for you to redirect your life. It's like, hey, my boy's in here. I know how it makes me feel that he's in here. Like, I wish we were still outside having fun. But maybe use it as a wake-up call. Like, hey, maybe I need to get my life together so I don't end up in here away from my loved ones, inflicting this same pain on them. And, like I know when I was coming to visit you, there was people in there with small children, Oh,
yeah.
Like newborns, 3-4-year-olds at, critical ages. And these are young people incarcerated too, and so it's just like you can't help but be worried about those generational cycles kicking in just because of not being willing to make a change or not being aware that, hey, maybe I should start thinking about making this change. So I think that that's a step. Like, it's not going to be the fix all, but I think it is important to express those feelings and communicate, because when you're just there like, yo, I can't wait for you to get home, or this is what's going on the outside, it's almost like you're not trying to bring about any change or correction or redirection. You
know what? Like, for me, like, it's all about people, places, and things. The same way that addiction get people. You got to really change your people, places, and things. See, for me, not to go back and do what I did isn't really that hard, because I don't have friends that's really doing that. See, when I started doing that, that was a choice I made from hanging around, and I used to do it and I used to like it. But like now, that pain, causing you pain, all that was a motivating factor for me not to go back and do it. But see, like, if I'm one of them people in jail and that's all my friends do and that's who I come out and be around, it's going to be harder. Yeah. I'm not going to say you can't do it, but it's going to be harder. Right. Because now, you know what, it's a temptation, that's way that you always around. And when I first started doing what I was doing again, it was for the fun of it. Like it was for the fun to just be out there doing it because that's who I hung around, and that's when things went sour for me. That's what I did. So like my experience and what I would tell people, you got to change. You could still be friends with people like that, but you know what? You can't really associate with them that much. Mm-hmm. And that's where it got to start changing. Like, like I used to always say to myself, man, if I go to jail, I could find the right connection. And boy, you know what? And it was so crazy because the people I met when I was in there. But you know what? I went away from that. I didn't go in that direction. Something, you know what? And I got to give God the credit because you know what? He steered me in a different direction. He didn't allow me to go be with them. I mean, I could speak to them. Like sometimes they came and talked to me and all like that. And it seemed like, that they wanted. But you know what? I didn't. I went to the library. I went somewhere where I was away from all that. Because when I met these guys, and I met these couple guys when I first got there and went around it, and they said, this is where we come at. That's where I started going at. So it really starts like right there. Now you can, like you said, you can talk to them like you get on me. You'll be on me. Or like you said, what I'm doing or something like that. But man, believe me, I like to be free. I don't want to be, even though I don't do much, I don't want to be where somebody got to tell me what to do all the time.
Yeah, controlling your life. And, to that point, like if you're changing who you're around, or let's say you go back, try to challenge yourself to, lead by example, because I think that if you get, like, let's say it's hard to change your circle. And I mean, like you said, you might have to separate yourself and, still kind of be acquaintances and not expose yourself to the same environment so that you don't end up repeating your own cycle. I think that, let's just say you are able to get it to a situation where you and your boy, you're going to try to do things the right way, right? You're going to get regular 9 to 5 somewhere, so that you don't feel like you got to make fast money on the streets. And let's just say, work is tough. You're not used to it. It's growth, it's change. And, one of you is thinking about going back out there. Now, because you got this buddy system in place, you can kind of, keep pushing each other forward, especially when things get tough, right? So, I think that's a step. That's a step. It's going to be tough for a lot of people to take it, how realistic it is for people in that position to do it. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that it's some doable things if you do want to, begin to change and, start out on a new path.
Well, like I said, it starts with the mindset. For real, I would love to see some of the people I was locked up with, Because, like, you know what, and sometimes, like, I mean, some of the greatest thrill was, like, I remember one time somebody came to me and said, man, you really helped this guy. You really been talking to the guy, and I see a change in this guy. And, like, it was not me just helping them. It was me helping me. Mm-hmm. When I'm talking to them and I was saying things to them, I was talking to myself because this is stuff that I need to go. And it was so good because, like, and then, like, when you hear somebody or you could see somebody trying to make a change, now, they may not change. But you know what? It might be just planted in them. Now, like, when you got to water that seed or something like that. So, you know what? I might could plant a seed. Somebody else might can water that seed.
Right. And I think it's all about just trying. And, ultimately, it starts from within, right? It's you yourself have to make the decision and put in effort. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And, one thing that happened in the NBA this week was with my main guy, Russell Westbrook. He got 2 technicals, got ejected from a game, And I guess to give you the story, he kind of gave Damian Lee from the Golden State Warriors a little elbow as he was going up to get the rebound, right? Russ did extra there. So he ended up, I think Damian Lee said something to him, and then Russ said, like, what you going to do about it or something like that. But he was just standing there. And another guy came over, snatched the ball out of his hand.
Out of who?
Out of Westbrook's hand. Like somebody that wasn't even involved, came, snatched the ball.
Did he
probably tried to.
Did he get a tech for snatching the ball?
I don't think so. I think the only person to get a tech during all of this was Russ. And then Russ walked over to, like, the corner. Then he was jawing at the Golden State bench. Then I think that might have been where he earned his second technical.
Okay.
And then.
That could be.
Then as he was walking off the floor, like it was a golden a state player kind of in his way, and Russ says like Kevon Looney kind of stepped into his way. On a video, it looks like Looney was just standing there. We know Russ emotional sometimes.
I'm going to say yes. He
so
is.
like
yes,
he felt like guys for all that happened in that instance, he was like, "There's no way I should have been the only one giving the technical," and he just feels like the league, kind of targets him. Like the media, they kind of paint him out to be the bad guy a lot of times. He's like, "Listen, I know I'm an emotional guy, like we know that, but there's no reason I should be painted in this light." But what I like that he said was, something to the effect of, "I'm gonna just hold myself to a higher standard so that y'all can't do that." It starts with him wanting to make the change,
right.
Like he's aware of it, and so now he can say, like, you know what? I know they're gonna they want me to do this so that they can bring the hammer down, but I'm just not gonna put myself in that position. So we're gonna have to see how it pans out. I also feel like Russ is the type of guy that likes jawing at guys because it gives him that chip on his shoulder that keeps him going, no matter who he's playing against. But I just like that he said that, like, hey, I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to bring me down, but I'm going to just stop putting myself in that position. So there's an accountability piece. And then when you scroll on social media in the comments, right, depending on what post you're on, they might only have a certain part of the quote. But somebody was like, this guy's a crybaby. He has no accountability. I was like, go read in my mind, I'm like, go read the full story. His ending piece is like, he says, like, I have to do a better job. So people out there that only read part of the story, quick Google search from time to time.
Well, some people only see part of the story, even when the whole story there. You might, you just want to see sometimes what you want to see.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to point Wes out as that. Like you said, he is an emotional player.
He is very.
Yeah.
Next thing is, came across a pretty interesting article that I think is very important. Kind of goes along with what we were talking about earlier. And that was the whole article. It was a Huffington Post article. Let me see if I can find the exact name. I'll try to share the link in the bio on YouTube, and maybe we'll share it to the Facebook page. Just give me a quick second here. I'm learning how to work this technology. All right, so it was an opinion piece from the Huff Post by Jeff Pereira. Telling male friends I love you is a muscle guys need to flex every day. I like this article a lot because, I think that probably being a man, I feel like at a young age, right? Boys, young men, you don't really tell other boys or young men like you love them, right? And it was, it's something that, when I was reading this or when I first saw it, it made me happy because this is something I do. Like, all my close friends, like, I have no problem saying, like, yo, I love you, especially when we're saying goodbye, right? Because, you don't take those moments for granted. And, I just think it's important for people to, hear those words when you sincerely mean it, because that lets them know, like, hey, this person really cares about me. Like, people, especially, my friends, like, a lot of my friends that get that phrase, they're like brothers to me, because somebody couldn't get me a brother. So,
I caught on to that.
So it's just something that I think is very important. But first thing is, just think about how you feel when someone sincerely tells you that they love you, or you probably feel good. I'm not asking you. Don't got to share how you feel. I was just saying.
No, because what, this really kind of touched me when you sent me this. That you see, where I first learned to do this?
Where?
Hug, embrace, and recovery. We got people, we go different cities, when we go different states to conventions and all like that, people we don't even know, we say that too. Especially the people that we come into recovery with, like your home group members or just people that you meet around. See, it's like today we still hug and tell people we love them because, like, you know what, like you said, your friends, like you have no problem with your friends. Now, we have some people. I have close friends. Then I have some people that ain't close. We might just know each other, just see each other in meetings, but we still can say to one another, "We love you." And like sometimes, even the film was, you know what, like when somebody go out and use, that hurts. When this person you are hugging every day and you tell love, and then you hear about this person go out and use, that hurts. That's a feeling of hurt. Cause like the article, like you were saying.
Yeah, and where I think it kind of probably started for me might have been with like my cousin Jalen in particular, because I feel like he used to say it, and I'd say it back, and it was normal, and then so I don't know if part of it had to do with like growing up, at church. It's like you hug your neighbor, tell your neighbor you love them, so it's kind of the same thing, but I think it definitely started on like a male level with me with like my cousin Jalen. It's something that I'll always do, and some things that jumped out, like an article, the writer, the author, he says he didn't tell his dad he loved him until his dad was in the casket, right? And now that's something you gotta live with. Just like some regret there. You don't want to have to do that. And then Shaq was sharing how after Kobe died, that made him realize like, hey, he needs to tell his male friends how much they actually mean to him.
Right.
And I think it's very important to communicate that. And I think it helps you realize like how much these people mean to you. Like when you actually think about it, tell them that bond becomes that much stronger, and it lets them know. I tell my friends all the time, how I'm proud of them. Like, and I think one of the interesting or unique things about me is a lot of my friends are from high school, right? And when you are number one in your class, involved in the school community, you're kind of looked at as a leader in the school community, right? But one thing a lot of people didn't know was how much I looked up to my friend group, right? Like they each had something that I admired, and to this day, a lot of them inspire me to be better. Like I look at Shaquan and Dove. I'm like, yo, I need y'all to help me read more. That's an area I want to grow in. Like, help me. And, I talk to Shaquan all the time just because I'm so proud of him. I'm like, Shaquan, how many people do you think would have bet on you to have a master's degree before me in high school? And, I tell him, I'm like, yo, I'm so proud that you, at your age, knocked that out. And you got a degree in a great area, and it's things like that, just telling your friends, how much you admire them. And because the article brings up a good point, it's like a lot of times you see people try, at least in male friend groups, it's like instead of bonding over, like telling the person how you really feel about them, you often roast them, right? And that's kind of like how guys get close. It's almost like you're bonding through breaking each other down in a sense, and that's just, it kind of becomes normalized, right? Whereas I think bonds are stronger when you share how you truly feel, more like an intimate platonic level. And so I think that's just something that needs to happen more. And because like going back to what we were talking about earlier, when you're able to have these conversations, when you do have a friend who is kind of going down the wrong path or in a tough spot, that trust is there. So now they can lean on you a little bit more for support, and what you say will carry more weight. And I think that's ultimately what's important. Like, who can you go to where, if they got 5 people, in the air, how many people will your voice ring the loudest for?
What you're saying is good, and like the thing about it is like love. Like saying like that when you say I love you. Like I got some people, or I might run across certain people, or sometimes people that's still out there getting high, that I might know their family member. And I find myself sometimes talking to them. And then, like, you know what? And I could tell them, too, at the end, I love you. You know, and, like, I'm telling them, I've been right where you at. Or, you know, and, like, see, for real, I'm not too far from where you at. You know, like, I'm a matchstick away or a flick of a big from away from them. But so I tell them, man, and I just tell them I hope that they get themselves together. And then, like, when I leave, I'll tell them I love you. If I can give them a hug and they hug me, I hug them.
Yeah.
You know, but see, like I'm saying, that still does a lot for me, too. You know, like, in a way, that's making you good. And, like, with your friends, I love your friends. And some of your friends that, like, I mean, like, you got to, like, one thing is I'm proud of all your friends, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, this kind of made me think of just now, back when, you know, Chris Paul was being criticized back when he was with the Clippers, I think, because he was seen kind of going in on, like, DeAndre Jordan on the bench. And, you know, what they said was, or at least with, you know, Chris Paul and on point was like, yo, listen, if you're close with a guy off the court, when I'm going in on him on the court, he knows it's out of love. It's like me and Earl, right? We can, to this day, we can go to the playground, right? We can go play pickup down at Master against the high schoolers. And if we get a little frustrated, we get heated, and we go at each other, then once we back out there, we cool. Like, there's no love lost. You know, we know it comes from a good place, even if we're not seeing eye to eye on something. But it's just the fact that, you know, you kind of have those bonds. You know, it starts with, you know, demonstrating and communicating that you really care about a person. Because now, when you come at them, they know it's coming from a good place. And, you know, there's really no need to kind of get defensive. Then you can state your point. You can defend your point. But there's a difference between doing that and actually being, you know, defensive, putting your guard up, being closed-minded, and, you know, just trying to, you know, shut down. So, you know, I think that that's very important. And, you know, like you said, showing your affection is important too. Like, it's okay to hug your brother, right? And not the little quick pound or little quick joint, like, actually embrace them. Some of us need it. Like, that goes a long way. Like, you know, some of my former teammates and friends, you know, it starts out with the handshake and then it's like knock the hands out the way and it's like bring it in, right? And, you know, I think that like you said, that does a lot for me. You know, it's like my boy Eric, who was 2 years ahead of me in high school, he comes out and he helps coach, and I don't think we ever just like dap it up. Like, we always got to bring it in, because that was like a big brother for me back when I was playing on the team. You know, like, you know, I kind of followed in his footsteps. So it's just like developing those bonds are very important. And, you know, if he needs something, he can call on me. You know, it's just like, you know, he's probably going to play in the league with us. And, you know, I was telling him, I was like, hey, I tell all the guys, like, yo, I'm going to let y'all know when registration starts. But for, like, a lot of the guys that I play with, we're pretty close, right? So I'm like, yo, if y'all want to do payment plans, let me know, because, like, y'all credit good with me, because we're on that level. You know, so it's like having those relationships go a long way. You know, like any of those guys, if they're ever in a jam, if I'm in a jam, I know I can reach out to them, be like, yo, listen, this is what I'm dealing with, need some help. And that's important to have those circles. Yeah, I think something else that's a trend now is, like, you know, women are ahead of the curve on this, right? Like, they have, like, the day before Valentine's Day, they have, like, Galentine's where, you know, they get together, girlfriends hang out, right, and do their thing. We might need to start doing a little something going forward. Make that a thing, to where, you know, you really fellowship with your brothers and use that opportunity. Because once you kind of become an adult, it gets hard to, you know, consistently, you know, meet up and connect and spend time with each other in person. So, might have to be an opportunity going forward.
Yeah, you're right. Women do that. Women will get together quicker.
Yeah, we be out there playing, man. You be playing?
No, I don't be playing.
All right. Cut you a break. But we gotta get ready to get up out of here. You got any things you're looking forward to this upcoming week?
No, not especially. I just try to keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
All right, one thing I'm going to try to do this week is get back up on my reading grind. So next week, if I forget to put it in the agenda, it's on you to remind me, like, yo, how'd you do with reading this week?
Okay.
And so I'm going to have to report out, hold myself accountable here, publicly. Because I love reading, man. It's just, I always struggle finding time for it, but I got to do a better job at making time. I can do it. I just got to do it.
You'll do it. I'm going to call you and remind you. That give me a reason to call you.
Oh, yeah, please do. So, yeah, y'all, whatever, set a goal for this week and, next week when you're listening to the show, reflect on how you did with it because we're all about goals. But, as always, thank you for tuning in. Please share the show with a friend, family member, a loved one. And if you think there's someone that, needs to hear this message or any other messages that you've heard on our show, send it to them directly and say, hey, I think you should listen to this because of X, Y, and Z. Let me know what you think. And let's see what happens from there. But also, follow us on our social media pages at the No Stopping Kev Show, heavily on Facebook and Instagram. And again, subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on a podcast app, leave that 5-star review and make sure you subscribe so you get notifications when we post. Or else I'm going to have Kiki hitting people up like, yo, you hit that button?
We're going to get little Kai to do it.
Yeah, that's actually the muscle right there.
Yeah.
Like, she's the muscle. But yeah, so we'll see y'all. Love y'all. As always, thank you for tuning in. Same time, same place next week.
And I like to say God bless.